what is not normal to the network, right? NDR is going to help us to recognize that. So so we are very excited, to be honest, that now that we have added this platform. So all this product line is going to help us to expand our enterprise solution, right? And that's why we are here to help to look into all the different aspects of the playing field for enterprise. It's different from service provider and data center, right? It's different. Okay. Obviously, when we say we are a leader, right? We didn't just say it, right? We overtook our number one competitor, Cisco, a couple of years ago. A lot of people didn't know, right? We overtook them in data center switching market share since 2016, early 2016, late 2015. We already overtook them, and we overtook them both by revenue and also by shipment, right? In terms of ports. Ports means number of switch ports that we ship to the market. So we overtook them, hands down, in both areas. Normally, when you overtake a competitor, you overtake them by ports because you were selling it cheaper. But then here, we prove to you that we also overtake them in terms of dollar. That means in terms of revenue in the data center switching, right? So we overtook them in that space. And it's very, we are widely used in most of the MNC now. So when you introduce Arista, right, it's not difficult anymore. It's not like in the old days where people are not sure who Arista is. But today, when you talk about Arista, people do know us, right? Because we're pretty famous. We have done ourselves very well. We even power some of the large cloud companies in the world. In fact, we own more than 60% market share of the cloud companies, right? Microsoft Azure is powered on Arista. The large cloud Facebook, companies in the Dropbox, Yahoo, Ali Cloud, right? ByteDance. If in case y'all do not know who ByteDance is, I think you saw the news that US is trying to close down on TikTok, right? So TikTok is owned by ByteDance. So TikTok is actually powered on Arista. Okay. So they are hosted in the data center, of course, but then the switching and all that will all power on through Arista. So we're working on that, and we're also very famous among the media, the governments, right? A lot of media use us, right? ESPN, Netflix, Pixar, you name it. They are user of Arista already. Banking and finance, of course, obviously they are the one who use us quite a lot. Yeah, because we are quite popular among the banking and finance, based on what we do. And most of the major stock exchange in the world use us, like Tokyo Stock Exchange, Hong Kong, Singapore Stock Exchange, Australia, London Stock Exchange, right? New York Stock Exchange is all powered on Arista. Okay. Now, one of the reasons why we are successful, right? People are curious, how did Arista do it? Well, there are a few discipline things that we do very well. I don't know if you heard of this, have you come across this report called the Common Vulnerability and Exposure Report? Okay, so this is charted by the Homeland Security of the United States. So if you Google it, right, you Google CVE, right, in short, you will see there are many vendors listed inside it, right? All the US vendors have to list itself in CVE, and CVE track our progress, look at our vulnerabilities, how much exposure we are, right? What is the danger of using our product, and this is the record that we had, since 2014, okay. Since 2014 till 2020, Arista has registered the lowest number of incidents as compared to our competitor like Cisco Catalyst, iOS is Catalyst, Cisco Nexus, ZE, ZR, and even Juniper, Junos, right? And you can see that's the reason. One of the good reputation and that we have maintained. Right, our product has been very solid. We have been very careful in managing our quality of our software. And even in terms of critical severity, we only have one cases over so many years, right? As compared to our competitor, you look at the number of cases that they got, it is quite a lot, right? So, so that's why people like us. Yeah, it is the reputation that we maintain. And of course, Arista is also very famous for our tech support. Okay, we operate 24/7 already, right, all around the world, right? And in fact, we are rated in the industry as one of the best in terms of ratings for Arista. So our reputation has been one of the best. Our product quality is good. Our customer support is good. So this scoring are not given by ourselves. These are actually given by MPS. Okay, so if you Google it, you will see that we have very strong MPS scoring, and people have give us a lot of a lot of us, motivation, telling us, how they welcome us and what they have been happy about us. So a lot of survey was conducted, right, by Tech Validate, and then people pick us as the highest scoring. So what it means, that means, if you choose to use Arista, one of the good things is that you will realize that our product is very reliable, right? And if an issue happen, it is very quickly resolved as compared to our competition. Okay, very reliable. We have a much higher scoring, by the way. An issue happen, it is very quickly resolved, higher than Cisco, right? In fact, a lot of people didn't know Cisco have a very poor rating. Okay, and we compare head to head. Our tech support, we compare head to head against Cisco SmartNet. And there are many things that Cisco don't do, actually, that people didn't know, right? They just buy the support, but they don't really use it. And when they use it, then they realize that, it's quite a pain. When you call on Arista support, okay, you are calling Arista. You're not calling our agent, right? We don't appoint agents. We use a direct engineer, Arista engineer, to respond to the call. Unlike some of our competition, they use agents. So that's also one of the reasons why we were quicker in terms of responding, right? Why we were quicker in solving the problem as well. So that's kind of set the sentiment of where we are. Now, this is our combined portfolio of product, right? The campus and the data center together. So as you can see, the campus line is over here. So this is the campus line of solution over here on the left, right? Right from our core switch, right, to our aggregation, to our leaf, right? And then, of course, in the data center, there's a lot more other breakdowns, right? Bigger capacity. And then we also have our DCI spline, right? So, those are the 7800s and so forth, okay? So we're quite a comprehensive switching. Obviously, to build switch is not difficult for us, right? Since we already been doing it. It's the same hardware, right? We've been building switch for data center. So for us to go into campus enterprise is easier, right? It's the same hardware. We just need to trigger down the technology down to campus. And we take the strength and and the know-how that we have, the advantage, the technology advantage that we have from a data center, we move down to the enterprise. So so you can be assured that people are going to like our product a lot because we have a lot more advanced feature than you think. And like I said, this is one of the examples, right? We took this as one of our key design. Spine and leaf has always been one of our core. I would say that is one of the most promoted architecture since Arista came about as compared to the other people, right? This way you will have much better scalability, for sure, right? You are able to distribute workload a lot easier because you can grow whenever you need to. You don't have to do it when your growth is not there. But if you look at the traditional three-tier architecture, you are limited by upgrading. So you got to keep upgrading the core switch, because if you adopt this architecture, you can't actually scale, right? The only way to do it is to upgrade the switches capacity. But if you do it the Arista way, which is the spine and leaf way, you can actually scale horizontally, right? To depending on what improvement are you trying to make. So so that's the strength that people like about us. Okay. And when it comes to campus, no different. We took the same know-how that we had built in the data center. We now take the advantage and move it into the campus line. So when we move it to the campus line, you can be sure of the high capability that we have, the redundancy, right? the scalability way, and also the single plane management concept is also the same. It's also been retained, right? And we took our famous Cloud Vision monitoring system, right, along at the same time. So Cloud Vision is managing both our data center and it's also managing now our campus, right? Um, I don't know if you guys know much about Cloud Vision. If you don't, don't worry. I will cover what Cloud Vision actually do and how it help you. Right? We launched Cloud Vision back in 2016. Right? We were then the first people to tell the world that telemetry engine is important because telemetry help you to resolve a lot of problem faster. But then the world didn't believe us back then, right? But today everybody start to do it, right? Today you call it AI, artificial intelligence, right? Or you call it machine learning. That's what it is. So basically, Cloud Vision was that, right? Back in those days, we were call it telemetry engine, right? But today it's actually known as AI. Okay, so we are mature. That's what we are trying to say. We are very mature in that sense. I will not talk too much about the architecture. I think this is something that is going to be open for discussion most of the time, depending on how you want to use us. Things like VXLAN overlay, right? These are some of the advantages that we took from data center and we deploy it down to the campus line. So this gives us our roadmap to campus. And that's why you will start to see that Arista compete in the campus business a lot easier because we started our expertise coming from the top, coming from data center, and then we trigger down to the campus side. A lot of the networking vendor, right? If you look at it, right? If you look at a lot of people, Extreme Networks, you look at Alcatel, you look at Huawei, and some of these people. They normally come from the campus side. Okay, Aruba and all that, they come from the campus side and they are trying to go into the data center. And that's very hard. If you are not managing the data center, right, it's very hard for you to try to upsell the campus side, right? Because you don't have a good story, you don't have a good management engine. So because Arista is, our Cloud Vision manages both the campus and the data center. So from a user perspective, right, you are using one single control, one dashboard, right, managing both sides of your network. Whereas in Cisco, right, if you understand Cisco, Cisco Catalyst is more like a campus range of solution. You have to use the Catalyst on the campus, and then when you come to data center, you will sell the Nexus. And then you have two different operating system, two different management portal, right, for you to manage the solution. But for us, it's actually managed in one single plane, right? Which is using the same thing, which is Cloud Vision. And also not that, also our switch OS, right? Our switch use one single binary OS. That means we don't have multiple binaries. So when it comes to management, what you have learned to manage our campus switch will be the same way of how you configure it on the data center side. It will be the same. You don't have to learn different languages. You don't have to worry about whether you have the skill set to do the data center, and so on. You don't have to worry. It's the same, all right? The OS is the same. And, MLAC explains the advantage of redundancy, right? How you can scale. You will see that we echo a lot of, support for MLAC, right? Even though this is an open architecture, this is not an exclusive architecture to Arista. Now that everybody start to follow MLAC, but in the past, a lot of them are still doing stacking, right? And we sell the advantage of using MLAC. So and we continue to do that today, and we're also doing that in the enterprise business. So here it kind of gives you a quick understanding of what are the advantages when you use MLAC, right, as compared to the stacking limitation, right? So I will not elaborate too much on this. I think I just want to give you a good understanding, right? I'm not trying to make the session too technical, otherwise it'll be too long. And we use the same. We use systemdb as our database. So so it tells you that we are very Linux based, right? And because it's systemdb is an open architecture, and you probably already know how to use it. and it also allows you to do integration work a lot easier as compared to the other people, right? Legacy OS, they tend to have different database in the system, right? You got to know how to code them. You got to know what you're going to do, right? But for for system DB, you don't have too much to worry about, right? It's a very straightforward and easy to use database that is available, and it's a Linux kernel, like what I said earlier, right? So those people who are efficient in Linux will also like us, because you're going to realize that it's so easy for you to configure us. Number two is that in case you want us to work with any kind of integration with your customer, let's say your customer were to use some other ecosystem program that you see here, it is also easy for us to work with you, right? Our products will give you, a lot of convenience to do so. Okay. And this is just kind of a quick use case, where Arista fit, where Arista solution fit very well. So we help customers to go to cloud, right? We help customers to do data center interconnects, because we are also a router. We have that function. We can do macro segmentation, hybrid cloud, right? MPLS management, IP core, right? Even you're trying to do storage area network, we have that as well. And we do packet broker and tag aggregation. So we do have solution that is addressing that dedicatedly from our switch. Right? How do we enable our switch to be able to do tag aggregation? Things like that. So we do have a lot of very wide use cases. Now, before I jump into Wi-Fi, okay, is there any question from my earlier presentation?